now, you're tuned in to RBLR, the home of Tampa Bay's Reveler Sports.
What's up, RBLR Nation? Hope y'all are doing well. Hope y'all are having a good week. No Musab Creek intro this week, I'm afraid to say. You're just stuck with my boring vanilla stuff. But got some amazing co-hosts with me this week, including Mr. Tyler and Mr. Zach. They're coming at you with some great stuff. But yeah, we're excited to be here. Obviously, Super Bowl week. Super Bowl just happened, so we'll get into some of that. And it's officially the offseason now. You know, the Bucs and every other team in the NFL, they're starting to reevaluate roster spots. You know, coaching moves have kind of pretty much all but been made. But yeah, we'll get into some Bucs offseason stuff at the second half of the episode. But before we get too farther into it, I want to formally let my co-host say hello. Mr. Blaine, say hello to everyone. How you doing tonight?
What's going on, guys? How's everyone doing tonight?
Chilling.
Yeah, how are you doing, Tyler? Man, this is the first show we've done together, brother.
Oh, I think he might be.
The mute button, yes.
That's two episodes in a row. My only two episodes on the show that happens to me. That's crazy. You know, I'm doing pretty good after that Super Bowl.
Right.
Only one way to feel about that one, right?
For sure. Yeah, unless you're from Kansas City, and even then,
there's nobody from Kansas City, man.
Right, that's a good point. Yeah, I can't really say I know very many people from there, but you know, I'm sure there's some people. Some people say that about Tampa. You know, some people say, "Oh, I don't know anyone from Tampa," but you know, anyways, regardless, yeah, it was a fun result. I had a blast watching it. It was a great hate watch. I don't know about y'all. I'm very satisfied with the result. But yeah, I mean, Zach, how happy were you watching Mahomes just get obliterated? It was a joy.
I have not been happier watching a game the Bucs were not in, I don't think, in my entire life, man.
I feel you. Yeah, I mean, that was so much fun. Jalen Hurts showed out. My goodness, he looked fantastic. He was really fun to watch. But the Eagles' defense, they put on a show. I don't really know how else to put it. They were just outstanding, just attacking all over the place. That secondary was really good, but the front four, I mean, my goodness, they weren't blitzing at all, and yet they had just a ridiculous amount of sacks. Tyler, what were your thoughts from the game? How much fun did you have watching it?
There was, at one point, you know, in probably third, maybe the beginning of the fourth quarter, I started scrolling through my phone because I was honestly getting a little bored.
Yeah,
it's hard to sit there and watch for an entire hour of that.
Yeah,
so I'm scrolling through my phone. And I'm looking at my phone. I'm reading on Blue Sky, and I look up because I hear what sounds like a car accident on the screen. And Patrick Mahomes got absolutely obliterated. It was probably the loudest sack I've ever heard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so there are a couple of hits like that didn't get penalized that you normally would expect them to get the flag for.
Yeah.
I had a great time watching that game, man. It's like Zach said, man. That's the best I've felt about a Super Bowl that I didn't have an active rooting interest in, you know?
Right. Yeah. Yeah, no, I feel you. I mean, it's tough because it's still the Eagles, and, you know, I get it. Philly fans are annoying, but, you know, they were just all over the place. It's hard to argue with the greatness that they had. But obviously Jalen Hurts, like we mentioned, he played really well, and he won Super Bowl MVP. You know, maybe rightfully so, but were there some other guys that maybe came into your mind, Tyler, that you were like, that would have been kind of an interesting Super Bowl MVP candidate?
I was thinking Josh Sweat.
Yeah.
2.5 sacks.
Out
of probably, 7 or 8 for the whole team. So,
right.
You know, as a percentage, not a ton, but still 2.5 sacks in a Super Bowl could get you there. The Cooper DeJean pick 6 definitely should have put him in the conversation as well.
Yeah.
The game kind of felt like, like that was kind of a, like you're watching boxing. That was the left hook right there.
Right.
And so after that one, it kind of felt a little over at that point. And then even after that, Zach Bond had an interception inside like the 15-yard line. So
right. Yeah. So
any of those three guys, I would have been fine giving it to as well.
Yeah. I mean, it's tough. Like they talk about in the Grammys or the Oscars, like with the best picture, best album, you have two amazing options and they kind of split the votes. Then a weird third entry wins kind of by default. That kind of felt like what it was with the defense. You know, you had like these amazing performances from really the whole group. So you really could have picked, like Tyler said, any one of them, and I would have been okay with it. But I'm also okay with Jalen Hurts because he also, you know, had a fantastic performance. And, you know, that little dagger to Devontae Smith, I mean, that was just chef's kiss.
That was the dagger for sure.
Yeah, all the great emojis or all the great, emotions that you can feel. That was just beautiful. It was a great throw, really nice route, just Devontae Smith, what more can you say? Zach, how about you, man? Who did you have as maybe some other dark horse Super Bowl MVP guys?
Yeah, I mean, Tyler named all of them. Not even
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds kind of dumb, but you could have given it to the entire defense. And
No,
like,
for sure.
I've been like, cool, let's just do a team award at this point. I don't
Right.
care. That the offense played really, really well, not taking anything away from them. Kansas City was able to stop Saquon for the most part, so that
Yeah.
them
Very
showing
impressive.
up that they were more than Saquon when Saquon was kind of the workhorse throughout the season.
For sure.
Just kind of showed me how dangerous that offense really was all along. But seeing Zach Bond and Cooper DeJean and the way they were locking up most of, well, especially Travis Kelce, but most of Kansas City's receivers, I would have loved to see it go to a defensive guy based off of just how good they were.
And Milton Williams had a great game too. I mean,
I think everyone on that D line got a sack, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think there was anyone that didn't get a sack.
I mean,
So, like,
really
I don't know. I guess that could be why it didn't go to anyone on the defense, because I don't know how you could pick from anyone in particular on that defense.
for sure. Yeah, there was just so much. There's so much talent on that roster in general.
It's going to be a scary team because I don't think they're losing too much either.
Yeah, I mean,
I know Bond's a free agent.
Yeah, and Milton Williams is a free agent.
Williams and Bond are the only two I know of for sure.
Yeah, Darius Slay.
Yeah, I think on that. I think this season, and in particular, the Super Bowl made Zach Bond one of the highest paid middle linebackers coming into next season.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the tough part about it is like it's just one season, but like it was such a great season that it's hard not to like just kind of give him.
It shows you what happens because he was on the Saints before, if I'm not mistaken. It shows you what happens when you leave a trash franchise to go to a good one.
No arguments here. I mean, Vic Fangio, my goodness, what a masterclass. He's best defensive coordinator in football, probably best coordinator in football in general, for being completely honest. Being able to get that type of performance out of Zach Bond, as well as, taking two rookie cornerbacks. I know that they were high draft picks and they were talented players, but at the same time, like we see, talented players come into the NFL and struggle. They have a difficult time adjusting, but Quinion Mitchell and Cooper DeJean looked great all year. And I believe, Vic Fangio and his assistant coaches and all that, they played a huge role in that, obviously. But obviously there was a game, but there was also the halftime show. So I wanted to get a little shout out because I enjoy Kendrick Lamar's music. He's produced some good stuff for the most part throughout his career. So what were y'all's thoughts on the halftime show? Tyler, I don't know if you might be a bigger Kendrick fan than Zach. Zach, I don't want to speak for you, but
he was first on my Apple Music Wrapped for sure.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
my goodness, that's impressive.
He has been, I think, 2 years in a row now.
Wow, 2 years. Okay.
Yeah, I've been a big fan since middle school.
Very cool.
That was like, what, 4 years ago, dude?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, not far off, honestly.
Ouch. Oh, man. I don't feel old too often, but you definitely.
Oh, my bad, man. I'm just telling it like it is.
No, for sure.
But yeah, that's the music I myself grew up listening to. So to see it performed on stage was really cool. He pulled music from the Black Panther movie that he produced for. Mm-hmm. He pulled some music off of this most recent album, and he pulled some music literally that has not been released before.
Yeah,
and performed it. I think that's really awesome. The visuals were great. The dancers were great. The messaging was a little subliminal, but if you got it, you got it.
For sure. I loved Samuel Jackson. He was hilarious. I thought he was
that was probably the biggest surprise to me. Him and Serena Williams coming out there. So
yeah.
It was.
I mean, shoot. You got to do it to him. If you're Serena Williams, you just got to crip walk on a man's grave like that.
And they kind of got in front of all the hate he was going to get with the Samuel Jackson character. They kind of called it, didn't they?
Yeah. It was really cool. I'm with you. I was kind of weird. I bought a cassette tape of his most recent album, the GNX, so I have like it got delivered like the other day. It was kind of cool, but
I feel like that's the proper way to listen to that album. Actually,
yeah, for sure.
If you have a Black Grand National, that's where you have to listen to it with a cassette track.
For sure, yeah. I mean, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Kendrick has not been my top performer over the past few years. The Marias, I don't know if you know that band, but they were my top.
That's fair.
It's kind of Zach. You probably wouldn't dig it too much. I don't think I don't think they're your type of music. You might make fun of me for it if you heard it, but that's okay.
Carter, I would never make fun of you.
Right. What did you think of the halftime show, though, my man? I know you said some Tennessee people didn't really dig it.
It's funny because I'm not from Tennessee. Like I live here, but I'm not from here, so I don't. It's a whole different culture up here, and I love rap. I love hip hop. It's not my go-to music anymore because I'm still stuck in my emo days. Like I still listen to emo and all that stuff. But I love Kendrick. I've always liked Kendrick. I hate Drake, which makes it even better. Can't stand him. I never have.
Never liked that guy.
So to see everything, the fact that like you watched him go through I really want to perform their favorite song, but they like the suit.
Right.
Like,
yeah, that was pretty cool.
I listened to that and I literally for a second I was like, damn it, we're not gonna get it. We're not gonna get it. And then he starts playing at the end. I was like, oh my god, his smug little smile at the camera. Hey Drake. I was like, yep, all right. This is I'll go down and say I know a lot of people might not agree, but it's one of my favorite halftime shows that I've seen. And the fact that he was the first solo rap artist to headline the Super Bowl. I mean, it's just, to me, it's history for everyone. And then to see it be a good show and not trash just kind of added on to it for me.
I think the last couple shows have been really good.
Yeah,
I've been really
absolutely.
impressed.
Yeah.
Rihanna 2 years ago, Usher last year.
Yeah.
Now we've got Kendrick.
Yeah, I thought the Dr. Dre one was really cool, and Snoop Dogg one was really cool.
And Kendrick was in that one as well.
Yeah.
Kendrick was in that one. My only issue with that is Eminem was in that one, and I can't stand Eminem.
Yeah.
Fair enough. But yeah, I'm with you. That was a really fun halftime show. There was a lot of cool stuff to pick apart from it. But is there anything that going back to the game, because the halftime show we could spend a whole podcast talking about it, honestly. But is there anything that the Bucks specifically can kind of take away from this game? I know there have been some kind of hot take stuff like. I don't know how much I subscribe to just taking a huge portion of that away from one game because, it's a very small sample size. But there was one tweet I saw that was really funny. It was like, if you could take anything away from this game, it's like have the best defensive line in the NFL, have a really good secondary, have a really good offensive line. It's just like have a really
good running back, have a really good quarterback. Yeah,
exactly. Like just have the best roster in the NFL. It's like, oh wow.
I mean, I feel like it's important also to think that Jalen Hurts, there was talk like literally 2 years ago that he's not the guy.
At the beginning of the year.
Absolutely.
He's decent, but I don't think he's the reason. I mean, the reason they won the Super Bowl, he played a great game. But I don't think he's the reason that they're there. And I think that's the crazy part is I have full faith. It speaks on my points more that I love the running back position. I love defensive backs and D-line.
Sure.
I think that's what got them there was Saquon and that defense. And that's crazy to say considering they have so many other weapons.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, it's a great point. Like you can have a quarterback that's maybe not top 5 or maybe not one of the quarterbacks in the NFL, but you also have to like nail every part of your roster, which the Eagles did, don't get me wrong.
100%.
So it's just it's a difficult thing, it's a difficult line or a difficult balance to strike. Where you want to try to get that elite quarterback, but you also want to make sure that you're setting someone up for success because you could have an elite quarterback, but it wouldn't matter if you have such an awful roster. But I'm with you. Definitely their defense being built from the front back was really cool. Like they got defensive line, like every year they spent a first round pick on the defensive line. And then once they had that, they were like, hey, let's just spend our first 2 or 3 picks on cornerbacks and linebackers. And then it was like they turned out to be really good because you can rush 4 and get that kind of pressure, every game. So I thought that was really cool to watch.
Did they trade for Sweat though?
I think he was drafted by them.
It's Montez that I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
Sorry, no, you're right. He got traded.
The 2 sweaty guys. They're
yeah.
They both play the same position too, man.
Yeah, it's tough.
Weird.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing, in my opinion, for Tampa to take away is we need to we need to draft corners.
Yeah, and
I mean, it is so. I'm so tired of it. Like I say it all the time, and I know it's ridiculous, and I know that I'm over exaggerating a bit, but we've done the draft defensive line, draft edge in the first 2 rounds. We've done it often. We are clearly not as good as Philadelphia.
Yeah, I was about to say. Unfortunately, they haven't. Yeah, they haven't done it successfully.
My biggest thing is you saw what happens. They drafted DeJean. They drafted Mitchell. I believe they were round 1 and round 2.
Mhm.
And everyone at first was like, "There's no like, why are you drafting 2 corners? Like, you don't need them." They had Darius Slay. Like, they didn't need 2 corners, but those 2 corners became starters on that defense, and both played really, really well. To the point where I would have been happy taking either one of them in the first round and been okay with it. I think that it shows that defensive back is still very important, and you're not going to necessarily skate by with. I don't want to call it like a patchwork defensive backfield, but that's kind of what it was this season. Like outside of Dean, everyone else was like, we'll see. Maybe they'll be good. Maybe they won't. Like no experience at all.
Yeah.
But then you look at our offense, and I think our offense is right there. I don't think that Jalen Hurts is necessarily a better quarterback than Baker Mayfield. I think that they're pretty close to on level playing fields, if I'm being completely honest. And obviously Saquon is Saquon, but I mean, we've got a running back. We've got wide receivers. Our offense, I think, is right there. I think we just need to invest in the defensive backs and get some pressure on the dang quarterback.
Yeah, how about you, Tyler? Anything else you can take away from this game for the Bucs?
Go get a pass rusher, man.
Yeah.
Go get some kind of edge
Bring
rusher.
in Myles Garrett.
Whether it's trading for Myles Garrett, Hassan Reddick is a free agent. Khalil Mack is a free agent. There's a ton of outside linebackers that are free agents. Like I'm talking about like probably one of the deepest edge rusher classes for free agents I've ever seen. Matthew Judon, DeMarcus Lawrence, Josh Sweat from Philadelphia, Chase Young, Charles Omenihu, Jerome Baker. Any of those guys would be a significantly better contributor as an edge rusher than Joe Tryon-Shoyinka.
Yeah.
Any of them.
It's tough.
And so whether that means giving up 2 first-round picks and then some to go get Myles Garrett, or that means paying one of those guys $20 million for a year or 2, do it. I literally think if we could trade for Myles Garrett today, we are that one piece away from playing in the Super Bowl. I think that dominant of an edge rusher, I think it solves all your problems on defense because your corners don't have to guard for 4 seconds now.
Well, they don't have to guard for 4 seconds, but it's not going to change the fact that Dean is essentially built of glass and our safeties were out for half the season. I think we're good. I think we're good in the safety department. I'll say that. I think Whitehead is gone. I think Tyke Smith steps in as our starting safety next year. But I do think we need to also – I'm full on board with going out and getting Garrett. I think that's a great call. But I also think that going and getting a corner, it needs to be a corner and Garrett or a corner and some sort of edge. And I think –
should say that there. Because Carlton Davis is a free agent.
We've had that. We've had that. I don't want Davis back. He played a really good season in Detroit, and he was healthy for most of it, if I'm not mistaken. But
for most of it,
I don't know that he's because I think Dean's gone this year too, so it's going to be tough.
Yeah, Davis is yet to play a full season in his 7 years in the NFL.
Yeah,
it's tough.
Okay, so he wasn't fully healthy last year.
Yeah, he broke his jaw at the end of this year.
Oh yeah, no, that's right. Yeah, the game before the last game, if I'm not before the playoffs.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, and I mean, and Christopher just brought up a great comment. Thank you for dropping a comment, Christopher Cole. Appreciate it. Middle linebacker, also a big spot because good gracious, I have to watch another season of KJ Britt dropping back into coverage. I don't think I'm going to survive. I'm sorry. And Levante David.
KJ Britt played his way out of the league. I think.
Yeah,
if I'm honest with you.
Yeah, maybe Servassier Dennis is going to be an NFL starter. Maybe not. If you're depending on a former 5th-round pick in his, second year or 3rd year, like
this will be.
It's even funnier because KJ Britt was also a 5th rounder.
Yeah,
just a year or 2 before.
Yeah, I just, I am not excited about like the way Zach, the way you feel about the cornerback room is the way I feel about the linebacker room.
Well, I'm right there with you. You're spot on. I think that's another important spot.
And that's the thing.
I thought Jerome Baker. I'm not gonna lie. I thought Jerome Baker was a middle linebacker. He was one that I was excited.
Yeah, I think he plays for the Dolphins. I think.
Yeah, the website I was looking at had him listed as an edge rusher.
Okay, yeah, I think he's a middle linebacker because he got traded from Seattle to the Dolphins this year. He's a guy that I was looking at that I'm excited to see. That I think could be really good in Tampa. Yeah, like Noah said, replacing Levante is going to be a major task. I don't think anyone's going to replace him. I don't think we're going to get somebody in that's going to be a Hall of Fame level player. Like I think Levante David will be in the Hall of Fame one day. So I don't know that necessarily anyone's going to replace him. It's going to be patchwork, kind of multiple people filling in for him.
And see, that's kind of the big thing for me with trading for Myles Garrett. Then that's a first round pick you don't have. And then, what do you do? And it's not just the first round pick. You probably have to give up the second round pick too this year.
No, I don't think it's going to be that. He's worth that much.
Right.
I don't think it's going to be that much, but I do think that it'll be a first and a first, multiple first. I don't think you're going to have to do multiple first and multiple seconds.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, we'll see. But Tyler, looked like you were trying to butt in. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, it's all good. I was going to say like the inside linebackers are not nearly. There's not nearly as many of them.
Yeah, it's tough
this year,
which is another reason why Bond might get so much money.
Yeah, Levante David, Bobby Wagner, Devondre Campbell, Eric Kendricks. Those are really the big names.
Oof,
Devin White, Devin Bush.
Devin White can stay where I don't care if he's taller. He can stay the hell away.
Man, yeah, that list just made me nauseous. Yeah,
it's not good.
Yeah,
35-year-old Levante David next to 35-year-old Bobby Wagner. You don't want to see that?
Oh man, Bobby Wagner.
Bobby Wagner wasn't bad this year though.
He was pretty good.
Wasn't bad this year.
Yeah,
he's still 35.
Still just 35, man.
Way too old, and we're not building around him. But if I think that he played a better role in Washington than Levante did for us last year.
Sure. That's unfortunately, Levante just wasn't great.
And that's again, that's not a dig on Levante.
No, I feel you though.
Don't take it that way. I love Levante. I think that he's one of the best middle linebackers to ever play. But
for sure. Yeah. But
he hit that Brett Favre cliff this year, the Peyton Manning cliff last season.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, he's a free agent this year as well.
Yeah, that was probably a good way to say, "Hey, man, you're good." Like, you go enjoy your time.
So thankful, but just call it a career, bro.
Yeah, it's all good.
Don't go play for somebody else though. It would be sickening to see him in another.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
I'd be sick to my stomach.
Yeah, that would suck. But I don't know. If you're looking for the Levante David of your wardrobe, though, we just had a really long conversation just basing from the Super Bowl. But man, if you're looking for some wardrobe upgrades, some Super Bowl type upgrades, definitely head to shop.rblrsports.com. We've got you covered. Anything Tampa Bay sports related, we've got you on there. And we'll give you a promo code because it's the off season. We could all use Pick Me Up. Cannons, type that in, get 10% off your entire order. We've got it all for the Rays season's about to start up. Lightning are in the middle of their stuff. We've got it all. The Sun, just check it out. We've got some really great stuff on there. We'd really appreciate it. But getting into the second half of this episode, we kind of already touched on a lot of the topics that I kind of wanted to talk about in the second half. But there's so much because there's so many things that the Bucs need to do. There's a lot of holes to fill. But where would you probably start if you were looking at this Bucs offseason, Tyler? Like, what's the first kind of move that you think the Bucs need to make, and then you can kind of go from there?
I think the pass rush just needs an upgrade so bad. And a Myles Garrett trade, we're not anywhere near the top of the Vegas odds on getting him. Like nobody's really saying we're going to get him, but we have to get somebody. I think that one of the most important parts of having an effective pass rush is having two guys that really need to get double teamed in a 4-man rush. Think about the 2002 Super Bowl. It was Simeon Rice and it was Warren Sapp. Both of those guys had to get double teamed in that defense, or somebody was going to get a sack. And then you think about the most recent Super Bowl. It was Jason Pierre-Paul and Shaq Barrett and Vita Vea, and that's why that pass rush was so effective.
For sure.
And so I think that we have Vita Vea. He gets double teamed probably the majority of the snaps. I'd have to go look.
Right.
but you need somebody else on the edge to
Yep.
do some work out there.
Mm-hmm.
And so whether, I mentioned earlier, it's Hassan Reddick, Khalil Mack, trading for Myles Garrett, somebody. Get somebody.
Yeah,
But
and it doesn't.
please don't spend an early draft pick on another one because we keep missing. It's
Oh,
just not
man.
good. And that's part of why I'm okay giving up so many picks for Myles Garrett because those early, that's not where Jason Light makes his money. He makes his money in 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, not in the first and second rounds. It seems like.
Yeah, I mean it's tough, I mean, I'm with you. He has not hit on a lot of edge rushers, and giving up multiple firsts for Myles Garrett would, it's Myles Garrett. But man, it'd be tough. It'd be a tough pill to swallow because then you're taking yourself out of Vita Vea, Tristan Wirfs, Mike Evans, like those types of picks. As much as Jason Light has struggled, he's missed a lot, But every NFL, I mean, Howie Roseman, the Eagles GM, drafted Jalen Reagor before Justin Jefferson. There have been some pretty massive whiffs. The Eagles signed Bryce Huff to a massive contract. He was a healthy scratch in the Super Bowl. So GM swinging and miss all the time. It happens.
It's almost like you got to know your strong suit. Like, we know Howie Roseman, he's really good at drafting defensive line.
Sure.
We have not. When's the last time that Tampa's drafted a good edge rusher?
Yeah, no, I feel you. I mean, Yaya Diaby's kind of getting there, but even him.
Yeah, I guess he could be an edge rusher.
I do feel you. I do get what you're saying, though.
Yeah, to me, you look at it and I go, I can't remember as an adult. I mean, I'm 29, so I consider myself an adult for the last 10 years, right? I don't think that there's been a good defensive end that's been drafted in Tampa since I've been an adult.
Yeah, I mean it's hard to think about. They signed Shaq, they traded for Jason Pierre-Paul. All of their pass rush production throughout the years has been from outside acquisition.
And so you look at that and it's like, why are we still trying to? I get it. We want to break the curse. I get it. I'm all for it. Let's just pass. let's just take something else, right?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I'm kind of with you. That's not the worst. That's not the worst idea for sure. And like Tyler said, there's some free agent options out there that could be interesting. And I wouldn't be surprised to see the Bucs sort of bring one in. But if we're starting for the Bucs offseason, getting sort of back to that and starting with the pass rush is probably a good idea. But I also think figuring out what to do about Chris Godwin might be where they start, just because Light loves to bring back his guys. Because if they decide to move on from him, then you can do a bunch of other things. Then you can say, all right, Godwin's out of the picture. This is where we're going from here. But if Godwin is in the picture, that changes a lot of the calculus. You probably have to restructure a lot more deals than you would have if you just let him walk. Yeah, I don't know. It's going to be tough to see. The Bucs are going to have some tough decisions, as every team does. The Eagles are going to have some tough decisions. But is there anything that you're maybe thinking about? Well, the Bucs could do this. Maybe the general public, or maybe most people don't see this coming. Like any unexpected moves that you see the Bucs making, Tyler. I mean, I don't know if there's anything that the Bucs could do that would be totally out of left field, because it's the Bucs. They do some weird stuff sometimes.
Yeah.
But anything that comes to your mind?
I wouldn't say. I think the Myles Garrett, a swing on him would be probably the story of the offseason. But underreported would be like the moves that the front office is able to make, especially restructuring deals.
Mm-hmm.
I was looking at Spotrac the other day, the website, at the cap situation, and they're kind of up against it right now.
Yeah.
Before you even get to Godwin. But if they can manage to restructure for Tristan Wirfs, and then extend and restructure for Evans and Mayfield, they would be able to create. They would be able to create somewhere near $60 million in space. So it's not a crazy thing to say that they could take some big swings this offseason. I just don't know what swings you can really take. There's not any huge. They're not going to make a move on a quarterback. They're not going to bring in any of those wide receivers, because there's a lot of wide receivers this year too. Stephon Diggs and all of them. Yeah. So, I don't know that there is a huge swing, even if they do go out and get Garrett.
Yeah, I don't know. There's definitely. I think that the the idea behind Garrett is really fun, and if it does happen, that would be really just really explosive. Just really big splash. That'd probably be the biggest story of the offseason for really any team, barring something really unexpected. So yeah, I'm with you. I think that the Garrett thing would be a really fun, unexpected move, so to speak. But I also think bringing. Sorry, go ahead.
As unlikely as it is, we were talking this way about Brady when those rumors first started running around.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It's definitely not outside of the question. It's an every down league. Any given Sunday, right?
For sure, right? Yeah, I mean that's
any given random Tuesday afternoon in the middle of the off season.
Right? Yeah, absolutely. I mean that's the good news. It's the NFL. It's not Major League Baseball. Every team is going to be in on free agents, trade acquisitions. Like
baseball off season is so boring.
Yeah,
nothing happens.
Yeah, and especially if you're a fan
damn Rays fan.
Well, there are reasons.
All kinds of stuff happens, but it's just your favorite players leaving.
Yeah, that's true.
Well,
and they
regardless,
it's
nice to know
international players.
Yeah. The biggest news is that I predicted that Alex Faedo would go to the Rays. That was a big thing. But no, I'm all jokes aside though, the NFL, that offseason idea is really fun because Myles Garrett could theoretically go to the Bucs and it wouldn't be like, it wouldn't be out of character. It would be not expected, but it would be something that could feasibly happen. Whereas with other leagues, big names, they're never going to go to the Miami Marlins or the Pittsburgh Pirates or anything like that. So I'm pretty excited to see what can happen with this offseason, especially with the Bucs, because like we said, there's a lot of holes that they need to address, and then there's a lot of options out there for them to do it. So there could be some kind of weird under the radar things that could happen. But Zach, how about you, man? Do you have anything kind of unexpected that you see in the future for the Bucs?
Yeah, I don't know if it's like I think that's the weird spot that we're in this offseason is that what's going to happen that like we know what our holes are that need to be filled. We know we need edge, linebacker, corner. Like everything else we're pretty decently set up for. I mean, we need to sign Bredesen again. We need to re-sign Bredesen, but if we can re-sign him, like our offense is pretty set up. We just need to improve our defense. So I don't know if I would say it's unexpected, but going and getting a guy like Byron Murphy, a big swing in the corner market, I think he's going to be too much for what he's worth. But a 25-year-old Asante Samuel Jr., like he's been hurt a lot. So I'm scared to give him a big contract. And that's why I say I think he's going to be too expensive because I'm not giving him top dollar. I'm not giving him a top dollar contract. I'm giving him a 1 or 2 year deal. If he can stay healthy, I'll re-up him later on down the road. Someone's going to give him a stupid big contract. I just know they are.
Yeah.
Travarius Ward, like I think there's some corners in the market that if we could sign would make us better right away. And but again, I don't think that's unexpected.
even like an ancient Stephon Gilmore would be helpful.
I'm telling exactly, and that's like at this point I'll take him. Like I said, I would love Asante Samuel Jr. if he could stay healthy. I think he's a great corner when healthy. But then we're running into the Dean and Davis problem where when they played, they were both really good, but could never stay on the field together because one of them was injured. Byron Murphy, I think, is my favorite corner this offseason because of that. He stays relatively healthy and he plays all right. He's not a great corner, but he's not bad either. Like, he's better than what we had this year. So that's kind of, I think, the biggest thing that we need to do outside of trading for Myles Garrett.
Yeah, trading for Myles Garrett would be.
I got Myles Garrett, man. I know it's not going to happen. I know my heart's going to be broken. He's going to end up going to, like, the Saints or something, like something stupid.
I've never wanted something so bad, man.
Still,
I've never wanted something so bad, man.
Exactly. Like I saw that
my entire life.
And the crazy part is we're all talking about this. If I'm not mistaken, Cleveland has said they're not trading him.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
that's the crazy part too.
Right now they're like, we're not going to trade him. We're good. So we're all talking about it like he's going to get traded. He might be stuck in Cleveland for a little while.
Yeah, they're in cap hell, and trading him would drive them even further down.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, but I mean, then you get into the weird, tricky situation where you have a disgruntled player and a disgruntled like star player. But yeah, I'm with you. It's a weird situation.
That feels.
Maybe he'll do the Jimmy Butler thing. That's what I was just thinking.
Oh,
right.
Hey, we don't need to talk about that.
For
All
sure.
right?
It's a sore
Hey,
spot,
you
man.
know what? I know it's not an NBA podcast, so I apologize. I think Miami is a better team without Jimmy Butler here now. So
I agree. I think they managed to turn into like a top
Yep,
defense in the entire
exactly.
league. I'm not even.
I love
not
the
even
Andrew
trolling.
Wiggins pickup. Sorry, back to Bucks. I apologize. Sorry.
That's okay.
Zach and I are
we
gonna
can-
make our own Heat podcast.
Yes, exactly,
For
exactly.
For sure. Gotta get that Heat culture, gotta get the represent and all that good stuff. But
Yes, sir.
anyways, Zach, I think you touched on it quite a bit with the edge rush, linebacker, and corner as sort of being the biggest needs in the offseason for the Bucks. But Tyler, are there any positions that maybe that we haven't discussed that you think that could be a sneaky, like the Bucks could spend a relatively high draft pick or spend, give someone a big or a relatively big contract? Is there any position we haven't mentioned yet that you think could sneak up on the Bucks?
There are so many good running backs in this class.
Yeah,
And don't get me wrong, I love Bucky Irving. I love him so much. And I'm a huge Rashad White fan too. I think he does a lot of great things.
This is why I like where you're going.
I still think that they could move on from him in the offseason. I think the organization definitely took some heat for the way that Cowboys game ended with him fumbling. And we barely saw him on the field after that for the whole season. So I think something's brewing in that running back room. And there, you could take a shot in the dark at any of the running backs in this class, and you could be looking at a Hall of Famer. Quite honestly, there are so many. There's two from Ohio State that are both very good. There's a guy from Michigan. There's one. They're all over the country waiting to be picked.
You know who I think would be a perfect duo with Bucky is Cam. What I can't pronounce his last name.
Scadaboo. Yep.
Brother, that dog. He has got so much dog in him. Like he is a man's man, and like I think that'd be the perfect pairing of like a traditional punchy in the mouth running back, and then Bucky Irving being as elusive as he is.
You're so right.
Oh my god, dude! Oh, that gets me excited just thinking about it.
Well, I don't know if they get Scadaboo. That he probably goes in the second or third round at this point.
You think?
I think he's
highly
highly rated.
Like a late, like third to fifth, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, if he slips like far enough, the Bucks could very easily take a chance on like a very late, because like Tyler said, super deep running back class, so they could very easily take a chance on someone and stash him on their practice squad and give.
I say we take Genty in the first, baby. Let's go.
Trade up for him. Do it.
Yeah, take him third overall. That's what I'm thinking.
See, I think that's what I hope really happens to the Cowboys. Like all jokes aside, is that they take away from the Super Bowl that they can draft a running back right now and immediately make it to the Super Bowl, and then
and they do it and it doesn't work.
I think that they do think that. That's the crazy part. Jerry Jones is so delusional.
Yeah,
I think Genty goes to the Cowboys.
Yeah,
Dak Prescott in an interview today.
I think Genty's a great running back. I think he's going to be a good first round pick. He does not make the Cowboys a contender, but Jerry Jones is delusional and thinks that he does.
Yeah, and that's the thing, I think that gets back to the whole philosophy behind, like, if you have a really good team, then a good running back can elevate you to that next level. It can take you to the top.
Exactly.
But if you have a team that's like the New York Giants that's really bad, or like the Dallas Cowboys that's in a tough spot, a running back's not going to help. Like a running back's not going to. Like a running back might. Right? Yeah, like a running back might win you a few more games, but not nearly enough to make you the playoffs, and then you just wasted a first-round pick on a position that unfortunately doesn't have a high enough impact. But that's hey, cross your fingers. Hope Jerry Jones does what Jerry Jones does, which
let him do the thing. I mean, he nailed the pick for Micah Parsons, and now there's rumors that he might get traded this offseason.
Yeah,
if we could get Micah Parsons,
I'd rather have Myles Garrett.
I don't know. I can't pick between the two of them.
I like Micah. Don't get me wrong. I think that he's kind of. I wouldn't say it to his face, but I think he's kind of soft as far as like dealing with criticism. I know I would. He'd beat my ass. I know he would. Yeah. But when it comes to like taking criticism, I've seen some times where he gets a little pissy and a little irritated, kind of like a Trayvon Diggs almost.
Yeah. He's also just seems like a weird dude. I don't know.
Hey, I like weird. Like it's okay. Be weird as long as you
see
not Jamal Williams, man.
Not cool weird, like weird, like Like you don't want to look up what he did at Penn State type of weird. Like just yeah, like the
That's
hazing
Penn State, man.
stuff. The hazing stuff, don't know. Yeah, I'm not a big Micah Parsons fan. As a
I don't-
player, I understand he's great. Like I get it. He's one of the best pass rushers in the NFL. Ridiculous, but
As soon as the show's over, I'm googling that now.
well,
I don't want anybody on my team that has a podcast. Like I get it. Like, that's what I do. I don't want anybody on my team that has a podcast.
Right? He's like the Paul George of the NFL. It's
exactly.
like,
that's what I'm thinking about.
Yeah, like he
Wait,
runs
Paul
to the
George instead of Patrick Beverly for the podcasting. Like
because Patrick Beverly's not in the NBA anymore. Like
He plays in Israel, doesn't he?
yeah, that man's gone.
He
Yeah,
plays
I
he's
thought
playing
done.
overseas.
No, he is
No,
done.
that was a couple years ago.
Oh, maybe not this season. Last season he was still in the league.
Yeah, last season I think he was still in the league. But anyways, yeah,
Paul George might as well not be in the league either.
That's true.
that's a whole other conversation. We're talking a lot of basketball this episode.
I know. I'm telling you, the football season's over. We're
For
missing it
sure,
already.
it's tough. It's the off season. You know, we'll get into some draft coverage and a lot of really fun stuff throughout the off season. Which, speaking of which, we're nearing the end of our episode. I really appreciate y'all for tuning in. Definitely hit that like and subscribe button if you liked what you heard. If you want more of our nonsense, we'll have Tyler back as well as Zach and myself, of course. But we're gonna have some more in-depth discussions about specific areas of need. But got to dip your toe in with the off season, because if you just jump in, then good gracious, what are we going to talk about for the rest of the time, right? So, we've got some really great content coming for you. Free agent targets. We'll talk more in depth about each position, maybe some good fits for the Bucs. So definitely stick around for that. So, give us a follow at social media as well, because across the channel, we've got great stuff. The Rays season's cracking back up. So, that's going to be a really great show to tune into. But I really appreciate my co-host. Thanks to everyone who tuned in. And as always, go Bucs.
Thank you for tuning into this presentation by RBLR Sports. On your way out of the stadium, please remember to like and subscribe.